Every time I think it can't possibly get worse for woke Dungeons and Dragons, sure enough, it's worse. The Monster Manual 2025 has now removed orcs in their entirety. Crazy. And they've edited the Lich terminology to be politically correct towards Jews. You can't make this stuff up. It is a woke nightmare once again, and it's spiraling down the drain. The more we learn about this new edition of Dungeons & Dragons, the more we know that it is a corrupt nightmare. Make Dungeons & Dragons great again. Go back and play advanced D&D, by the way. That's the way to go. So please hit the like and subscribe button. Join us here as we talk about all things in culture, especially fantasy gaming like this. Really appreciate you guys for being here. I am a fantasy author myself. This is my novel for Steam and Country. It starts a 6-book adventure of an airship crew that goes and fights monsters. A lot of cool monsters and fun stuff doing in this. It also has a big war breakout. This is a great book story for D&D adventure parties to enjoy. And maybe you can even apply my setting to your games. I would love to hear that. That'd be fun to hear. So check it out. It's a 6-book series. It really builds up over every single book. It's better and better and better. And thank you so much for reading this, making it a perennial bestseller. It's in the description below, an ebook, print, and audio. And I really appreciate all of you guys for being there and supporting. Grab this book today. Enjoy your weekend. All right. Dungeons & Dragons has been under scrutiny from gamers for over the last year because of its new edition, turning the fantasy game system into a woke nightmare. Now, critics point out that the 2024 Monster Manual... Now, this is interesting. I keep seeing it referred to as 2024 Monster Manual, but it's 2025, and I see some people refer to it as 2025 Monster Manual. Really confusing. They should have come out with this last year just to not have confusion. Wizards of the Coast removes phylacteries from liches because it might be offensive to Jews. And the orcs are missing entirely from the volume. Now, if you don't know what's going on in D&D, it's been a wild ride over the last year. The new edition, they've already courted controversy with their changes to the game by adding diversity, equity, and inclusion agenda on top of their core rulebooks. D&D players, as a result, have been watching their beloved role-playing game of questing and fighting monsters turned into a political cudgel and social conditioning tool used by the Hasbro Corporation. Before the new Monster Manual was being promoted, the Dungeon Master's Guide infamously incorporated BDSM fetish community practices into the game. I believe this is real. For safe spaces, having players make an X with their arms if they feel triggered by a situation, requiring a DM to stop the game and address the player in question. The 2024 Player's Handbook is filled with imagery of BIPOC, that's Black, Indigenous, people of color, and female characters at a margin of more than 5-1 compared to white male characters, despite being the direct opposite for the demographics who actually play the game. Dungeons & Dragons then came under further scrutiny after it was revealed senior designer Jason Tondro penned a foreword to a history book on Dungeons & Dragons, calling Gary Gygax misogynistic and accusing him of cultural appropriation. Yes, they tried to destroy the founder of D&D. Very, very sad and very, very disgusting. Still has not apologized to this day. Now, that actually got Elon Musk to chime in on the situation. He made a joke saying, should I buy Hasbro? And that got a lot of discussion going on this last year. Now, I've reported the Monster Manual on it before because they came out with a video called the new 2024 Monsters Manual. Like I said, sometimes they say 2024, sometimes they say 2025. Everything you need to know. And two of the designers went on this promotional video and actually talked about a bunch of the new monsters. And they got all weird and giddy about the changes they made. There's hags. Now, the old hag, like specifically, that's always a female role, right? Well, now not anymore. These guys say that they can be either sex, that it's aunties and uncles. They literally said this in their video here. Very sad. Dryads, another traditionally female character, were depicted as being male here, very homosexual looking as well, when you could see that, again, those have always been female. Next, there's the succubus and incubus creatures, and now they're turned into a transgender allegory. So the succubus and incubus, who are depicted right here, basically one and the other haunts them, and of course, like the succubus was always about seducing like men and the like. And now it could be either way, and they can change into any gendered form at any time. Yay. So stunning and brave on that level. But it gets even worse according to a new article that actually details the contents of the new Dungeons & Dragons manual. This gets even nuttier. Yes, the article reveals that the Lich nomenclature for phylacteries has been removed. So they used to have phylacteries, liches, that's a normal thing forever. So they won't be offensive to the Jews due to association with tefillin used in Judaism for prayer. Therefore, the word has now been replaced, no more phylacteries, with spirit jars. Oh, that's very, very much stunning and brave. Please clap for that. That's so exciting. On top of this, sphinxes have now a gender classification removed, so there's no more male and female sphinxes. And instead of monstrosities, what they used to be called, they're called celestials, because we wouldn't want to call, things monstrosities because they're depicted in the Hindu and Buddhist religions, after all. And, we don't want to call monsters monsters in a monster manual. That would be racist, wouldn't it? Yes, more political correctness to the game. This is not the worst of it all, guys. This is what we've been bracing for. This is the crazy part where it goes here. All of this stuff has been in the Monsters Manual so far, and it's just absolutely insane. What a gutting of the rule system. What a gutting of this once great book. Absolutely silly. But this is all the appetizer, my friends. The main course, exactly what you expect from Wizards of the Coast in 2025. Yes, orcs are removed entirely from the new edition. Because remember, you're not allowed to think of orcs as monsters. Orcs are supposed to be people, right? And I posted one of the orc posting memes, which are always really fun. A racist will see a sword-wielding Uruk-hai intent on destruction. But I see scientists, doctors, and engineers. And that's what they're trying to do with the orcs. They started this back in the day because they started this lie that J.R.R. Tolkien invented orcs to be an allegory for black people. And you sit there and you go, huh? Because that's not, Lord of the Rings has nothing to do with black people, and they wouldn't exist in that sort of realm as it is, because it was an allegory for, England in the Middle Ages. So interesting right there. So you look at this and you go, huh, that's odd. And they kept promoting that over and over, saying that orcs are stereotyped against. Of course, orcs are depicted as monsters that are corrupted. And of course, they aren't even, they're infernal beings who are just pure evil in that setting, right? And so that got ported into fantasy as a whole, got it into Dungeons and Dragons. And they've always been evil monsters that you just slay, right? Well, now you have to be friendly with the orcs, and you have to see that they're people too because of this. And they do. In science fiction fantasy conventions, they have whole panels saying, orcs are racist, oh my gosh. And D&D went full bore this last year with this most famous image of the Mexican orcs. They're just nice Mexican people walking around their mesas. They just want to be people too, and they just want to immigrate into your village, my friends. Let them work, okay? They're good, hardworking people. Gosh, you bigot. And that's how they started depicting them. So, of course, you're not allowed to view them as monsters anymore. You're not allowed to have them in there. So, whereas the last editions of the Monsters Manual had 4 pages of orcs, 4 full pages, because it is one of the most popular deals out there. And I will say that, they did not remove goblins or kobolds or anything like that. It is a conscious choice to change the nomenclature of orcs, to change the way that orcs are thought about in this. They are mentioned in an appendix, just briefly, on how to upconvert them from prior editions and the like. And so that's all you have in this new monster manual regarding orcs. They are people, my friends, and they're going to be player characters, and you're going to be respectful to orc culture, is what it comes down to. Now, this is absolutely crazy. We've seen some of the supplements going around that have been talking about colonizing and removing colonization from Dungeons and Dragons, changing the way you frame games so that's don't say goblins are attacking the village. Say goblin bandits are attacking the village. That way their race isn't inherently bad. Now, it gets so ridiculous because when you get into something called a monster manual, a monster is inherently bad. That's the entire point of a freaking monster. This is something to fight. This is pure evil. It's okay for something to be inherently evil, and that exists in this world. It does exist all the time. It's really, really radical for them to try to shift this, but it's because of their weird, SJW fake morals at this point that they have to keep pushing on this agenda. Now, there is one bright spot to all of this, my friends, is that there are no official Dungeons and Dragons adventures right now that are slated for 2025. They might announce some later, I don't know, but they have none that are coming out at the moment. They only have this. This looks like it's it for Wizards of the Coast and what they're doing right now. So at least they're not going to put out any weird adventures where you have to take an orc into your home and to treat them and wash their feet or something like that because they're dirty and you got to clean them up. Well, gosh, wait a minute. I shouldn't call all orcs dirty. I apologize to any orcs I might have offended in the making of this video. Ridiculous stuff. So what do you think about this? They are whitewashing everything. It's not really whitewashing. That's not the right word. Blackwashing everything? Yeah, let's call it that. And then they are trying to remove anything that makes monsters distinct or distinctive from all this stuff. It is just a gutting of this whole game and gutting of everything that's in this. Really, really sad what they're doing to Dungeons & Dragons, in my opinion. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit the like and subscribe button, my friends. Oh, so painful. And please check out some great fantasy. This is, again, a 6-book series, airship adventuring. I love airships. I got into them back with Final Fantasy IV, if you remember that game back in the day. And that really is what like great questing and fun adventure parties means to me growing up. And so if you like that kind of thing, you're going to absolutely enjoy this. Grab it in the description below. It's on ebook, print, and audio for your convenience. Really appreciate you reading.